water, light,
The two law-making chambers of Nigeria's Legislative Assembly perform the vital role of oversight in addition to other important functions. The House of Representatives and the Senate are both empowered to establish committees of its members for the purpose of oversight.
because this is the pure.
Oversight is a constitutional provision vested on the legislature as a tool to check whether the executive arm and its agencies are complying with legislative intent. The Senate Committee on Special Duties has oversight functions on the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, which was established by an enabling act of the National Assembly, the NEDC Act of 2017. The House Committee on the Northeast Development Commission equally has oversight functions on the Commission. In August 2020, the Senate Committee on Special Duties undertook a trip to Borno State in fulfillment of its constitutional mandate of making sure that the funds it allocated to the Commission for the development of the Northeast region have been judiciously used for the purpose they were intended for. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Special Duties, Senator Yusuf, led the delegation on the visit to Borno State.
Honorable members, you can see it for yourself.
In September 2020, the House Committee on the Northeast Development Commission, led by the chairman Hajia Khadija Bukar Abba Ibrahim, also undertook a visit of Borno State on oversight duties. The two legislative committees visited all projects completed by the Northeast Development Commission. On each of the occasions, members of both committees were escorted by the Managing Director of the Northeast Development Commission, Dr. Mohammed Al-Ali, and members of his management.
I'm a firm believer in the fact that anything worth doing and not being evaluated cannot be done well. So the coming of the visit of the Senate Committee, as well as the House of Rep Committee on North Development Commission, is for me a welcome idea. First, it's their own right under the Nigerian Constitution to have oversight on what the executive is doing. And North Development Commission, being one of the agencies of the federal government, need to be oversighted so that they have a general overview of what we have been doing. Second, we are just a year old now, and we are doing a lot of activities. This oversight will guide us by the senators and House members observing our shortcomings and telling us what we need to do.
One of the key projects undertaken by the Northeast Development Commission is the 1,000 housing units at Guon in Mafa local government area of Borno State. The project is intended for the resettlement of internally displaced persons, IDPs. The Commission and the federal government, through its Special Intervention Program, are pushing to complete 10,000 housing units. The houses are spread across 10 local government areas of Borno State, which have been adjudged to be the most affected by the insurgency. Members of the two legislative committees inspected the 100 houses already completed. Each unit has 2 rooms, a small veranda, a kitchen and a toilet.
This project was initiated by His Excellency, the Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum, who approached the President and told him of the need to have adequate shelter for the IDPs. And the President graciously approved 10,000 housing units for the IDPs. Now, the Northeast Development Commission also kindly assisted and started to build the initial 1,000. Now, what we saw when we went to Gom village was completed 100 houses meant for the internally displaced persons. And we were very impressed by the rate of work because the workers were on site building, and hopefully by the end of the year, they'll relocate 10,000 IDPs from one camp out of 53 into those houses.
Both legislative committees also visited the internally displaced persons camps. The camps tell the story of the effects of the Boko Haram insurgency in graphic details.
Your heart goes out to the people living in those camps. These are people that have lost everything. They've lost their sense of livelihood. They've lost their businesses. They've lost their families. You have orphans. We spoke to a little girl, and she, a 6-year-old, and asked her what does she want, and she said, I want to go home, because she feels when she gets home, she'll see her mom and dad. But unfortunately, she's orphaned. So many different cases. You have so many different issues pertaining to IDPs.
Every day, there's a loss of life in one IDP camp or the other. So it is a crisis, that I say, let us even declare emergency in humanitarian crisis in Borno State.
Most of the humanitarian response done by the Northeast Development Commission were carried out at the IDP camps through the supply of food and other essential items. The internally displaced persons camps in Maiduguri are just a few of the 33 camps spread across Borno State. Members of the Senate Committee on Special Duties and the House Committee on the Northeast Development Commission all agree that keeping the internally displaced persons camps is not a sustainable solution.
There must be will and there must be ability. Now, the will here is simple. Let us all put our hands on deck and make sure that we reduce the number of people in IDPs. I made a suggestion. We are looking at it. Probably it will work or it may not work. Why can't we create a situation of guardianship? Why can't we create a situation of orphanages? We should, encourage people to come and take these children, to their own houses, and then let government foot in the bill for their upkeep in each and every, house or with each guardian. And the orphanages is important because you have children who do not have any relation in this world.
Beyond the billions of naira spent every year in taking care of the IDPs, there is an even bigger issue that must be addressed as a matter of urgency.
Even if you take care of them in terms of providing their needs in terms of food, exercise, there are certain things which you can't control. One, the more people stay in a camp, they are bound to forget or lose a lot of identities. Some will lose what tribe they are, where they came from, and so on and so forth. They will now become lazy or unprepared to take challenges to earn livelihood of their own.
At the Stadium Internally Displaced Persons Camp, the legislative committees inspected the 30-bed clinic built and equipped by the Northeast Development Commission. The Commission built this in response to the health challenge of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Commission has observed that the Northeast region has a conspicuous deficit of health workers and hospital equipment.
In the stadium camp, there are about 50,000 IDPs. And the NEDC has helped in building clinics for 2 of the camps we visited. The Muna al-Badawi camp has a clinic, and the stadium camp also has a clinic. And they're all fully equipped and ready for any case of COVID that might break out. They're there for isolation, but unfortunately, fortunately, there wasn't any case that was reported when we visited.
Members of the legislative committees on oversight duty also visited the Muna el-Badawi and custom IDP camps where they witnessed the conditions prevalent in the camps. The Muna el-Badawi Internally Displaced Persons Camp has over 50,000 people with over 10,000 households. Representatives of the IDPs expressed appreciation to the Northeast Development Commission, the federal and Borno State governments and other stakeholders. They had 2 requests to the legislative committees: more food and the desire to be taken back home so that they can engage in their farming, fishing and trading activities.
Misali akwai manoma, akwai masanta, akwai mafarata, kuma akwai 'yan kasuwa. Lalle alhamdulillah gwamnati ya kokarin karfinsa, federal gama yana yi, state gama yana yi, organization NGO duk suna yi, amma da ba abin da ya kai mutum ya zana jinasa.
These resources cannot sustain this. It can't. The governor is trying the best that he could. I think was it in Monguno or somewhere where they have 700,000, IDPs, and they have about 80 or 88, household, 88,000 household. There's a place where you can spend, 1 billion naira in a day. So, does Borno State government, have that kind of money? No. Even federal government, where will they get that kind of money to do? So, we have to find the best way to do this. And all of us should be involved. It is not just government thing. Even well-to-do, the donors, should come very, very, strongly and support government, both at the state and the federal government, to make sure that we exit this IDP campaign as quickly as possible.
The oversight visits also took members of the legislative committees to the warehouse of the Northeast Development Commission, where grains and other food items are stored as backup for emergencies.
We were taken to the store, the warehouse, where they store the food, and they have a substantial amount of supplies there to fall back on in case NEMA gets emergency supplies are needed by NEMA and SEMA and the State Emergency Management Agency. So they have adequate food in storage. So they have it as a fallback on what is already being supplied by NEMA and SEMA.
The legislators also visited the completed guest house of the Northeast Development Commission, located at Tangali Street along Dambua Road in Maiduguri. The Commission says it is a prudent decision to build the guest house in view of the acute accommodation shortage in Maiduguri. The Commission has also completed building and furnishing another guest house along Dambua Road and another duplex near the Maiduguri Polo Ground. This duplex will serve as an annex office of the Northeast Development Commission.
They build houses for their directors and guests when they come visiting, and all sorts of other issues that may arise for a shortage of accommodation. Because in Maiduguri now there's a lot of shortage of accommodation, so they built 3 very, very impressive buildings for their directors and guests that might come and visit or oversight, as we are doing.
The Legislative Committee leaders both expressed satisfaction with the developmental strides of the Commission. Both chairmen of the 2 committees described the projects of the Northeast Development Commission as quite impressive, considering that the Commission has only been in existence barely a year.
We embark on our oversight visit to Borno State to look at the activities and the performance of Northeast Development Commission in the past 1 year. Being a committee that is approving or approving the appropriation of the budget of the Commission, we need to go there and see how the money that was appropriated to them is spent.
The lawmakers paid homage to the Shehu of Borno, Alhaji Abubakar Garbai El Kanemi, who expressed delight with the courtesy visit and called on the legislators to also visit other local government areas of Borno State in order to see the severity of the devastation done by the insurgency. At the Borno State Government House, the Governor, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum, expressed satisfaction with the performance of the Northeast Development Commission. He said the insurgency has triggered an acute humanitarian crisis with devastating social and economic impact on the population. Professor Zulum said the statistics are quite saddening. He said there are more than 700,000 internally displaced persons in Monguno, 400,000 in Gomborungala, and feeding them quite requires enormous resources. Professor Zulum said there is need to shift from the short-term humanitarian support to longer-term development and sustainable solutions. He extended a request to the Nigerian military to clear the pockets of insurgents who are still around the shores of the Lake Chad, Sambisa Forest, and Mandara Hills.
For the Northeast Development Commission also, notwithstanding the commendation that we have poured on you, there is a need for the Northeast Development Commission to work together with the governments of the Northeast region, so that requests have to be provided on a demand-driven basis, which is very important. We need to prioritize our demand.
Education plays a pivotal role in development. The legislators believe that there is need for collective efforts from the Northeast Development Commission and all levels of government to provide education.
Mr. President, when they asked him, what is he going to suggest, what is good for this country, he said education. They asked him again, he said education. Again what? He said education. So 3 times he's emphasizing education. So it is very, very important that we educate our people. So that is why Northeast Development Commission came with this idea of, creating an endowment fund. I think, they're thinking of maybe probably over a period of time, maybe about 200,000, children to participate in the endowment over a period of time, from both, from all the states, in the region.
It's something that needs to be taken seriously because the children are growing, and once they're not educated, then we have a big problem. We have a time bomb in our hands.
You can say one of the main reasons why we have this insurgency in the North is lack of education. If people are properly educated and they have education, as well as properly employed and empowered, I don't think we may have this kind of situation. So for us in the Commission, education is very, very important.
At the end of the visit, the chairman of the 2 legislative committees expressed the need to increase funding for the Northeast Development Commission in view of the destruction done to infrastructure.
The NEDC is grossly underfunded. The very low budget they get can fund even just cannot even fund Borno State alone, let alone the other 5 states of Yobe, Adamawa, Taraba, Gombe, and Bauchi. The monies that are allocated to them can fund just Borno, cannot even fund Borno alone, from what we saw.
Whatever you do, it is the funding that will make everything tick. If you don't have the funds, you are not going to finance security. If you don't finance security, these IDPs will not move to their own abodes. If you don't have funds, you are not going to provide palliatives to these people. So even while the mandate is for development, but at the same time you will not leave, the humanitarian, crisis that is going on, and you close your eyes and say, no, it is not my own role to do that. So whatever you do, funding is fundamental.
The Senate Committee on Special Duties and the House Committee on the Northeast Development Commission are expected to visit the 5 other Northeast states of Yobe, Adamawa, Taraba, Gombe, and Bauchi to assess the level of work done by the Commission. These visits will be in fulfillment of the legislative principle behind the oversight, which believes that legislative function does not end with the passage of a bill. It is only by monitoring an implementation process that members of the legislature can confirm the level of compliance with the provisions of an act or uncover defects that should be corrected.
Reconstruction after any war insurgency is not easy. It's not only one sector you are talking about. You are talking about roads, water facility, health facility, education facility, agri facility, human capital development facility, and so on and so forth. So your mind will be divided along all those platforms, and all of them are very important. So you have to do some sort of rationing of resources, programming, which one will give earlier advantage than others, and so on and so forth. So sometimes patience is the key, because you can destroy in 1 minute, but what you destroy in that 1 minute, sometimes you cannot rebuild in 1 hour, depending on what you destroyed.